Hi and welcome to the next episode of QML tutorial. Today you will learn how to create custom QML items. My name is Lukas Kosiński. I am the CEO of SciStudio, QML consulting company. We help our customers achieve their objectives by providing them with skilled Qt developers. Okay, but what are custom QML components, custom QML items? You can think about them just like about building blocks within Qt framework. Within Qt Quick Module, you have plenty of existing building blocks to use. I mean types like item, rectangle, text, button, switch, row, column, etc., etc. But sometimes when you start to see some repetitive pattern in the UI design that you have to implement, you would like to implement your own custom separate item just to reuse it then. And that's where custom QML items come in. You can just use them to implement unique features to be composed of the other visual items, and then you can reuse them across your application, just like any other QML type. And by doing that, you make your code more organized, more readable, and more maintainable. Yeah, and it's basically considered as a good practice, and that's what we are going to learn today. Enjoy. Before we start discussing how to create your own elements, let's talk about how they are managed in Qt 6 CMake projects. You probably remember those imports at the very beginning of the QML files. Imports allow you to use QML modules, which are collections of QML types, JavaScript resources, and other assets bundled together to provide a specific set of features or some functionality. In Qt6 CMake project, QML modules can be created and managed using Qt add QML module command. This command is part of the Qt CMake API and helps you define your custom QML modules. Now, if you want to declare your custom QML type, you have to create a file with .qml extension. The convention here is to name QML files in Pascal case. When you have ready QML files, then you can simply add them in CMake list.txt file as a part of your module. And after CMake runs, you will be able to use them in any project via import statement. Okay, but why should we struggle with creating separate files, adding to module, and then importing it? The answer is simple. To keep code clean, readable, and most importantly, reusable. Let's say that we want to create a complex list of elements that depends on some data model and displays each entity of data as a visible item. Each of such item would be clickable and would provide unique action dependent on the clicked element. We could create customized rectangle and then nest column with repeater or even built-in list view element in it. All of that to display and handle those data. Now let's say that during the development process, it turned out that we will need to display data from separate model with almost the same look, but with different click behavior. It would be dumb to create the same view with the same properties and structure. We would just repeat ourselves. Instead, you can create separate QML file. Here you can define the rectangle as root item. It would be a list background. Next, you can nest list view inside and define delegates, their look and their behavior. And then, if you want it to be reusable, you would probably need to declare properties and signals in root item to expose list view parameters like model property or delegates clicked signal. And finally, you can then reuse your file 2 times or as many times you like, modifying only the properties that you need to change to make it work as expected. Yeah, in summary, you should or even have to create separate custom QML types when you want to implement something that is repetitive. Today, we are going to push Spotify and other music platforms out of the market. We are going to create our own music player. Of course, I am kidding. We will create a simple interface for a potential music player. It won't be complicated. It will look like that. We will create text buttons to control currently played songs. And in the very center of the app, we will show information about the song. It will not actually play any music for now, as at this point, I want to show you how the creation of new elements in QML looks like. There will be time for other things like that. We will continue this project in the future episodes. Okay, let's go. I have ready QML project with window initialization. I already defined its dimension and gave it a nice title, Song Player. Firstly, let's split our window into 3 sections. I mean top bar, main section, and bottom bar with button controls. We will for now use plain rectangles with different colors. We will give each rectangle a unique ID property so we can later reference to them. First rectangle will be sticked to the top of the window, and we will anchor it to the left and right of the parent to make it fill window horizontally. Just like that. Next, we will give it a height of 50 and appropriate color. I prepared this hex code, so you have to trust me that it looks nice. And next, we will anchor bottom bar to the bottom of the window. And similarly to top bar, we will make it fill window horizontally. Then let's set a height to 100 pixels and then color 3. It should also be nice. Finally, we can create a container for current song details. We anchor its top to the bottom of top bar and its bottom to the top of bottom bar. So thanks to that, it's stretched vertically. And just like before, we make it fill the width of the window using left and right anchors. Yeah, and thanks to anchors, we do not have to set any dimension now, as they are handled automatically by thanks to anchors. Yeah, the color E1, 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 E, and we are good to go. We can now create our first custom QML type for audio info box, which will keep details of the song. Every song is different. We want to display every song similarly, showing its image, title, and author, so we will need some custom item for that. To create one, right-click on the project and choose Add New, just like when adding C++ class. Then choose Qt, QML file, choose. Now type in the name of the file, so audio info box, then click next and finish. Now we need to add this new QML file to add Qt QML module CMake command, just like this. We need to put path here. And now let's save CMake file to let CMake do its magic. Yeah, and here it is. It's empty, so let's fill it. Before we start, always remember to give ID root to the very first item of entire element. It's basically a good practice. And the first item will be an image of song's cover. However, for now we do not know how to put images and other assets, so let's use a plain rectangle for this. We give it an ID album image and let's anchor it. First, to the vertical center of entire info box, like this, so it's in the right place. And now let's anchor it to the left. Next would be the size. Width would be 150 and height would be the same. And now let's code a text item to keep the title of the song. We'll give it an ID title text, and let's anchor its bottom to the vertical center of the parent. Then we will anchor its left to the right of the album image, so it's on the right, and we will afterwards also set margins to 20 to give it some space. Yeah, and also let's anchor it to the right of the audio info box, so then the text item stretches. The background of the app will be dark, so let's give text a nice white font color. Then we will use a fancy property wrap mode to, as you could guess, wrap the text in case it goes out of the text item size. That's why we used the right anchor. And yeah, let's use text dot wrap at word boundary or anywhere option here. Yeah, and now let's adjust the font. Pixel size would be 20, and let's also make it bold. Notice that we do not set any text now, as this part would be customizable. Yeah, and then below the title we'll put another text for author of the song. Let's just copy existing item and modify it a bit. First we'll change the ID to author text. We'll make it top anchor to the vertical center of the parent. So then it will be below title. And let's left anchor it to title text dot left. So then they are always placed in the same distance from album image. And instead of all margins, we'll set only top margin to 5. This text should be smaller and less visible than title text. So let's change the font color to gray. And let's reduce a font size and let's remove bold property. Now we want our song info to be customizable, so we'll create properties in the root item. Let's go here. Firstly, let's create required property int song index. Required keyword here means that anyone instantiating this item has to assign some value to song index property, otherwise the app will not function. Yeah, next one will be an alias named title, property alias title, and it will point to title text property. Thanks to alias, any change to this property will be automatically passed to title text property. Yeah, and next property will be author name, and is going to be an alias to author text items text property. just like this. Yeah, and finally, we should also make the image customizable. As for now, it's only a rectangle, so we will allow only to modify its color. Let's name it image color and point it to album image.color property. Okay, now let's go back to main QML file and instantiate our type. As it's placed in the same module, we can access it without any extra import. Yeah, just like any other QML type. Yeah, so let's create audio info box in the main section. It will have an ID first song, and it also needs a size and position, so let's use anchors. First, let's anchor its vertical center to sections vertical center. Then let's make it fill section horizontally using left and right anchors, just like before. And finally, let's give it margins of 20. What we need to do now is setting its specific properties. Let's set song index to 0, title will be Eine kleine Nachtmusik, author name will be Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and image color will be just red. Yeah, and let's start the app and check if it's working. Yeah, as you can see, we have our very basic song info placed in the middle of the app. Yeah, but what kind of music player it is if you cannot start, pause, or switch the songs? We need to create button controls for that. So yeah, let's go back to coding and let's create a separate custom QML item for that as well. You do it just like earlier. Right click on the project, add new QML file, and let's name it text button. Normally, we would implement buttons with some icons, but we do not know yet how to put images in the QML app, so that's why text button. You will learn that in the next episode, so let's make them like this for now. Yeah, let's put a path to the file here, and here it is. So our button will be item. Remember to add ID root. First item would be a rectangle for the button's background. Let's make it fill the parent. And afterwards, let's create a text item to inform what the button is actually doing. ID would be button text. Let's also give it ID to background rectangle. Now let's center the text inside the button using anchors.center in property. And now we need to know when the item was pressed. So we add a mouse area here. Let's give it an ID, button mouse area, and we make it fill the entire surface of the button. Yeah, and next we set hover enabled to true, as we are going to need hovering functionality to change button color when it's hovered. Next we add on-clicked slot, but for now let's keep it empty. Yeah, and then as in audio info box, we need to make this button customizable, so let's add some properties. The first one will be the color of the button's rectangle. You could use alias to background item here, but I want To play a bit with the color that we set here, it's going to depend on mouse area's hover state. So it will be just an ordinary property here. So color as a type, color as a name, and let's make it gray by default. Then we need to allow setting buttons text. So here let's create property alias text pointing to button text property. Next, we need to know when a button was clicked, so we declare clicked signal. By the way, normally I would define a button using built-in abstract button template that provides interface for buttons, but for learning purpose, I did it like that. Now we need to connect everything. Firstly, let's adjust the background color. In this place, we check if buttons area contains press, and if so, we return root.color, but in lighter version using q.lighter function. And if that is not true, but button mouse area contains mouse, so user hovers the button, then we return darker version of root.color. Oh, like this. I forgot if here. And finally, if it's neither pressed nor hovered, we return the basic version of that color. Next, we need to propagate click event from mouse area to root. In on-clicked slot of mouse area, we just add invocation of root's clicked signal just like this. Root.clicked, and we are good to go. Now we can go back to main.qml and let's create 2 additional audio info box items in the main section. I will just copy and paste that twice and adjust the properties. There will be more classical music in the app. And now we create a Qt object that is non-visual QML type. We give it ID player controller and we will use it to control currently played song and to switch songs. It will have a property int current song index and is going to be 0 by default. There will be also property int song song count 3, indicating a number of songs, and third boolean property indicating whether player is playing right now. By default, let's make it false. And then we should create functions to control the currently played song. First function will play or pause a song, so let's name it play pause. Nothing complex here, we just set playing property to its negation, like this. And yeah, then we need to implement functions to change songs. First function will be named switch to previous song. If the current song index is bigger than 0, then we have to decrement current song index like this. And otherwise, when we are listening to the first song, we need to go to the last one. So current song index should equal song count minus 1. Yeah, now similar but yet opposite function for switching to the next song. It's not the point of this tutorial, so I'm gonna speed it up. Yeah, and now to hide songs, audio info boxes that are not currently being played, we need to play with the visible property of some audio info box items. Let's do it in audio info box here, like that. Visible player controller current song index equals root song index. In such case, audio info box will be visible. Notice that we can access player controller here, but it was declared in main. It's commonly treated as bad practice because it causes a concern as in big code bases. It's not clear from where does it come, and it may cause issues in the long term. Later we will move play controller to C++, but for now, for the sake of simplicity, let's keep it like that anyway. Yeah. And what we will need to do now? Now we would need to put those buttons in the app, right? To place them nicely, we will create a row inside a bottom bar. It will be centered relatively in the parent, and there will be also a spacing of 20 pixels, and inside the row we will instantiate our three text buttons. First button will have ID previous button. We will give it a width of 50 and height of 50 as well. And text property would be a minority sign. Then we have to create on-clicked slot handler like this. But notice that I can do that with or if without brackets if it's just a one-liner. And for this case, it's going to be a one-liner, but I only need to call player controller dot switch to previous song function here. Yeah, and then we need a button to play and pause. We make it play pause button. We make it of width 75 and height of 50. Then we make its text dependent on player controller dot playing value. If it's playing, the button will say pause, and if not, play. Unclicked unclicked, it will call player controller dot play pause function. Yeah, and finally we need button to switch to the next song. It's going to be similar to the others. So that would be it. Let's check how it works. Okay, looks cool. Songs should change whenever we click on the buttons. Yeah. Audio info box in the center correctly displays a dummy album cover, title, and author name. And it's also possible to adjust those three things in code. Just like buttons, audio info box is your custom type. And yeah, buttons change colors on the mouse area hover and press state. And when we click on the play button, we see that it changes player controller's playing value and text changes as well. Also notice that when we resize the window, text labels wrap words as expected. Okay, so that would be it for this episode. I hope you like it. Today you learned how to create your custom QML items, and also in the meantime, you learned a bit how to play with the properties in QML. We created alias property. We learned how to make one property dependent on the other one. That's property binding. And yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you like this episode. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn, link in the description, just to make sure that you are up to date with everything that we are doing at Sci Studio. In the next episode, we will replace those placeholders with real images using Qt Resource System. So I hope that we see each other there.